Alright everyone, we have one of the filthiest, the most disgusting main cards of a pay-per-view that we have ever seen in the last 30 years of the UFC ever existing. On paper, UFC 322 JDM versus Islam Makhachev is definitely in my top 5 of all time. We kick things off with a potential title eliminator at welterweight with Sean Brady, who is looking unstoppable at the moment, taking on Michael Morales, who is one of the best undefeated talents in the whole entire sport. We then have Beneil Dariush vs Benoit Denis, which could easily end by literally any method. Following that, we have some beautiful matchmaking in welterweight again, with former champion Leon Edwards taking on Carlos Prates in an absolute striker's delight. Very, very keen for that. And then, of course, we casually have one of the most highly anticipated women's fights of all time. Zhang Weili moving up to flyweight to try and become the first two-time women's champion from strawweight to flyweight. And then, of course, 8-time defending champion Valentina Shevchenko looking to extend her legacy against Weili. But we then, of course, after all of that, have the most anticipated fight of the year, hands down. Welterweight champion Jack Della Maddalena looking to make his first title defense against the arguable pound-for-pound #1 of the sport, Islam Makhachev, looking to, just like Weili, become a 2-division champion on the same card. Need I say more? Everyone's bloody auntie's pet damn hamster will be watching this pay-per-view, and I'm here to break down and predict every single fight on this card, and to also give out my fight card awards, kicking it off with the first fight of Pat Sabatini versus Chepe Meriscal. Now, before we get into this matchup, I have taken all of these matchups in the order of ESPN and like Tapology, so they're not going to be in the exact right order, I'll assume, but it really doesn't matter because pretty much every single fight on this card is going to be good. And we're starting off with a definite good one on the prelims, which is Pat Sabatini taking on Chepe Meriscal in the featherweight division. And this could arguably be a top 15 eliminator fight at featherweight, because Pat Sabatini is extremely underrated, and most importantly, to state that he completely shut down Joanderson Brito when he fought him, used extremely heavy control, out-transitioned him incredibly well, and had his takedown timing perfect. Like, he just looked like a completely different breed of himself compared to other fights. And then we have Chepe Meriscal on the other side, who is a super fast-paced fighter, absolutely everywhere. And when we look at Pat Sabatini taking out Brito, Joanderson Brito is a machine on the feet, and when he's on his back, he has a really nice guillotine, but he doesn't have the best transitional capabilities overall, whereas Chepe Meriscal is a guy that just doesn't stay still. This guy moves around everywhere, is extremely fast when he's either striking or transitioning through wrestling or scrambling on the ground, and his scrambling capabilities are extremely effective. And I honestly find it difficult to really think that Pat Sabatini is going to be able to hold Chepe Meriscal down for 15 minutes. And if Pat Sabatini isn't, granted, Pat Sabatini's got the ground game advantage and could potentially submit Chepe Meriscal if he makes a mistake in a scramble, but Chepe on the feet, he has almost 5 times the amount of strikes thrown, and he is just more fluid with his striking capabilities. And granted, he hasn't fought a guy like Pat Sabatini in terms of that grappling caliber. That's why it's a very, very close fight. But I think with Chepe Meriscal being an underdog, the guy being on a decent win streak as well, like he's fought bloody Jack Jenkins, he's fought Morgan Charrier, like he's fought some good opposition, and Pat Sabatini on the other side, he's not a striker that even compares to those guys, but on the ground, he is definitely a threat, and there is a potential to get a submission here. But I just think Chepe's scrambling capabilities are going to be enough. And also when it comes to that, I just think on the feet, there's just too much of a contrast with his volume, his power, and his just overall technique when it comes to the striking. And I think that that's where, as an underdog, I'm pretty keen to take him, and I'm going to take him by a split decision. Chepe getting the split, mainly based off just that overall volume on the feet compared to Pat Sabatini just getting overall control. I just don't see Pat getting enough control to outweigh the volume of Chepe. Chepe is going to be completely aware that he has the definite advantage on the feet and that he needs to avoid the ground game. And I think he is quick enough, he's speedy enough, he's got good movement as well on the feet, that he's not going to allow Pat Sabatini to really hold him down for 15 minutes. And while it's on the feet, I think Chepe can just edge this, and I think it's going to be a split decision, volume versus control. Moving up the card, we have got Malcolm Wellmaker versus Cody Haddon. This is a fantastic prospect fight because Malcolm Wellmaker, as we know, is looking absolutely incredible, especially with the timing on his strikes. He used fantastic hooks against Chris Matinho, Cameron Simon, and he's just murdered a lot of bloody people coming through to this point now. He's undefeated. He's got, obviously, all the momentum on his side, and he is looking like the real deal on the feet. Now, even though he has had regional scene experience, he's gone 5 rounds on the regional scene even, there are holes when it comes to, well, not holes actually, it's more so question marks when it comes to the overall MMA game of Malcolm Wellmaker, especially at this level of competition. And ultimately, I will say on the feet, I think he does have the advantage overall, especially when it comes to power and I think timing, where he could get a finish, and I can understand why he is a favorite, but complete all bias aside, I swear, Cody Haddon is Australia's best prospect under 30 with Quillan Salkilled. He has won every single one of his fights pretty much dominantly, and he barely lost to Steve Erceg on the regional scene, which is his one loss. He is extremely well-rounded. He's got great distance management, nice boxing combinations, beautiful timing on his wrestling, his takedowns, and the guy's got a BJJ black belt. And that's where, in terms of the overall contrast when it comes to a well-rounded game, from what we've seen of Cody Haddon through his time in MMA compared to Malcolm Wellmaker, I think Cody Haddon has the tools to mix it up late to get this done. I think he can get a 29-28 decision. I think Malcolm Wellmaker, when it comes to his ability on the feet in the first round and his speed and his timing, I think he has the ability to honestly hurt Cody in the first round. But unless Malcolm Wellmaker is literally dropping him like a sack of shit, taking him out stone cold, I think Cody Haddon has the fight IQ to grapple with Malcolm if Malcolm starts to hurt Cody Haddon. And Cody, getting this fight to the ground, he has the advantage here from what we've seen. From what we have seen from Malcolm on the regional scene overall compared to Cody, much more confident in Cody's ability when it comes to his transitional capabilities and his takedowns with the wrestling and overall grappling as well. And that's where I think he's going to be taking the 29-28 decision. And that's where I've got to give him my Fighter to Watch award, especially if he's beating an undefeated guy like Malcolm Wellmaker, who literally in his last fight was like a -1,000 favorite, and he's just looking pretty much flawless at this point, just taking everyone out within a couple of seconds. But I can tell you, Cody Haddon is the real deal. I promise you that. I think Alexander Deporia at UFC 312 was very lucky that Cody Haddon pulled out, to be honest. I think that him fighting Colby Thickness was extremely lucky. Compared to Cody Haddon, I think Cody Haddon would have beaten Topuria. So yeah, I think Cody Haddon would have beaten Alexander Topuria at UFC 312. Like, he is just that good. And I think he's going to be able to show that ability against a top prospect in Malcolm Wellmaker in this fight. Moving up the card, we got Roman Kopylov versus Gregory Rodrigues. Now, this is just going to be an absolute clusterfuck of a fight. One of these guys is most likely getting dropped like a sack of shit. They both love striking. Rodrigues, don't get me wrong, has somewhat of a grappling game, and if he's smart, he's going to be trying to take Roman Kopylov down immediately to try and hunt a submission. Because if Roman Kopylov has the same performance that he did against Paulo Costa, he'll get taken out either on the feet or on the ground. But that's where I think Roman Kopylov has learned his lesson from that fight. RoboCop has the power, and he's kill or be killed. That's why he's so entertaining. But we've seen him get taken out by guys like Bruno Ferreira and Jared Cannonier by faster strikers ultimately. And especially if he is timed and pressed backwards, especially against a guy like Roman Kopylov, who is a sniper, then that's where I think he's going to be in a world of trouble. And that's where whoever has the forward pressure and is able to get their rhythm off effectively on the feet, which sounds clearly fucking obvious, Callum, but it's just that much of a statement when it comes to this fight. Whoever is pressuring who, and whoever can get that timing off first, is going to win this fight. And ultimately with that, I think with the distance management and the overall tools, and I think just fight IQ in general on the feet, I got to go with Roman Kopylov. I think Kopylov is going to be able to get this one done. I think it's just going to be around the second round. I think Gregory Rodrigues is really going to press Kopylov in that first round. I think Kopylov is just going to be more on the defensive, more so using body kicks, trying to chop Robocop down, cut down that gas tank because we know it's pretty suspect, thanks to Jared Cannonier. And moving through this into the second round, I think that's where if Gregory Rodrigues slows down at all in this fight, that's where Roman Kopylov is going to take complete advantage, like he has done again and again and again with all his past opposition that he has just beaten by KO. And with that KO rate that he has, it's not going to be surprising to me if he gets this one done, because he's got the KO power, he's got the strike speed, he's got the distance management, he's got more tools, and he is also faster. And especially being out of southpaw against Gregory Rodrigues and Robocop, the jab's probably going to be mincing Robocop, the body kicks as well. I think he's just got a really nice style to take Gregory Rodrigues out. I mean, we saw Armen Petrosyan kind of similarly. He was able to outpoint Gregory Rodrigues in their fight. I think Roman Kopylov in that sense, I just think he is just a better Armen Petrosyan with more power. So with that being said, he's going to be taking him out in round 2. Now moving on to the two exposed hype trains, Rodolfo Vieira getting submitted by Fluffy Hernandez and Bo Nickal getting a knee through the gut by RDR. This is a fight that is really going to be needed to be won by both of them, seriously, because this is just going to cut down all of their hype. Granted, Vieira doesn't really have that much hype anymore, but Bo Nickal, we know Bo Nickal, the guy needs to damn win because he's got so much bloody hype on him. We've already had the fiasco with him on the bloody main card and him getting dropped down to the prelims. Thankfully, he did, because I was not keen to see that on the main card, especially compared to the fucking main card we've got coming up, which we're going to be breaking down soon. But looking at this matchup, Rodolfo Vieira, he is going into his second fight in the Fighting Nerds camp, which is nice because when it comes to his striking, his straight strikes in his last fight against Trajan Gore, really, really nice. I really liked his striking in that one. Nice 1-2s up top to the body, just really nice timing as well. And if he can manage that effectively against Bo Nickal, and Bo Nickal not taking Vieira down, I think Vieira stands a very good chance because, I mean, Bo Nickal's going to have to get perfect control against a guy like Vieira with the grappling pedigree that he has. And that kind of just leaves Bo Nickal on the feet anyway. And that's important in this matchup, especially stylistically and the way that Bo Nickal's career has gone. Him against RDR just getting destroyed in the striking. It just stylistically makes sense in the fact that Bo needs to show those striking improvements, and so does Vieira. And when it comes to Bo overall, him not using his wrestling, I think that's just going to be important for his just overall development. And in this matchup, I think Bo Nickal, honestly, just mainly with the hand speed, it's going to be a more so clearer win for him. I think it's not going to be clean, but I think that Bo Nickal will be able to take it with the strike speed. And I think just his ability to mix it up a little bit better, as long as he's not doing what he did against Paul Craig and just throwing fucking overhands every third second, because that was just horrible and you're not beating anyone close to the top 15 like that. And so that's where Bo Nickal needs to show those striking improvements. I think that he can overall on the feet if he takes this fight to the ground. I think he's an idiot, and I think Vieira could definitely submit him there, and so he should. But I think just trading strike for strike, I think it's a close fight, but I've got to go Bo Nickal. I've got to go Bo Nickal by a decision. I just honestly think that the overall just speed in general, and he does have some snap on his shots as well. I think that Bo Nickal can get this one done, to be honest. Just faster strike speed. I think he gets it done 29-28. I think Vieira starts landing some clean shots in the second, but yeah, aside from that, I think Bo Nickal is going to be taking this one. Moving up the card to Kyle Daukaus versus GM3. Never doubt the man, Kyle Daukaus, ever again. He has looked incredible since he has been cut. He's on like a 3-fight win streak on the regional scene. He's come through. He's fought Michelle Pereira, someone that is that explosive and has just fucking chinned him in the first round. Carl Daukaus is reborn. The guy is coming in to flatline GM3, and I think he's going to do it. He's got great timing with his striking. He's got the power now, clearly. Very dangerous on the ground and has the momentum. He's got the confidence as well. And GM3 is looking pretty piss poor now. I mean, he's getting older, don't get me wrong, but he's lost his last 3 fights. He looked horrible against Nickal Oleksiejczuk. He's just on his way out. I don't really see a way that Gerald Meerschaert's going to be able to win this. Carl Daukaus is very seasoned on the ground. GM3 is not fast enough to compete with Carl Daukaus on the feet, unless he just lands something random and nasty in the first round, just a hope shot. But aside from that, Carl Daukaus, I think he's going to be taking him out in the second round. I think he just uses really nice boxing now, just cleaner counter-striking too, and against a guy that's as slow as GM3, I think that Daukaus is really going to show that newfound confidence. Beating a guy like Michelle Pereira to the way he did, GM3 is just like a kind of like a break for him in comparison to that, and I think he's going to showcase that striking in this fight. Second round, KO TKO. Moving up the card to Angela Overkill Hill versus Fatima Klein. Angela Hill, I do really like her, honestly, even now. She's always in the fight to an extent because she has really improved her grappling game, to be honest. I mean, she submitted Luana Pinheiro. She has really improved just her overall fight IQ when it comes to strike defense. She's good with her timing. She's never been finished either. Super damn durable. And Fatima Klein on the other side, I honestly think you still need to respect Angela Hill's ability when it comes to just her overall experience and just the killers that she has fought in her own division. And that's where I think Fatima Klein, she is going to win this fight. Like, she's 15 years younger. Like, she should be this much of a favorite, to be honest. She is like the honest top prospect outside of the rankings coming through strawweight pretty simply because Denise Gomes is now ranked, and I don't think there's really anyone else clear that just is anywhere near Fatima Klein, to be honest. And that's where, benefit of the doubt, I'm going a Fatima Klein decision here. I don't think it's going to be a submission. It could definitely be so if Fatima really imposes her will, gets Angela Hill down and just out transitions her and finds like an armbar or rear naked choke, but Angela is much more defensively aware. Her submission losses came quite a while ago. And looking at Fatima, I mean, her striking's quicker. She's just better with her boxing specifically. And she does have very good takedown timing. She's just very well-rounded. She's good for the division. She's got the reach advantage. I just can't see Angela Hill imposing her will to really even steal much of a round. And that's where I've got Fatima Klein just simply getting a pretty clear 30-27 decision here to get into the rankings finally. Moving up the card, we got Baisangor Sirsaikayev versus Eric McConaughey. Now, Baisangor Sirsaikayev, very interesting fighter, especially at the moment. He's got a lot of media attention because he does train with Khamzat Chimaev. Khamzat has kind of tooted his horn. And he fought at UFC 319, and he fought Eric Nolan, and there was a part of me that does wish that he got chinned in that fight, just because he was so overwhelmingly confident and he got put on skates for a minute, and being like a minus 1,000 favorite, he really would have shat the bed in that department. And look, going into that fight, I will say, as much as I think that he was just showboating too much and I think that he could have got chinned, he is the real deal. I will say that, you know, getting stanky leg aside, he is a guy that is very talented. He's got the KO power on his side, very long for the division as well, 79-inch reach, good height on him as well, good leg reach. And when we look at him in terms of his overall ability coming into this fight, he is on a full training camp now. We're getting a full training camp by Senghor. And when we look at him in his last fight, he was on a week's notice and he had just fought on Dana White's Contender Series. It was like, I think it was like half a week actually. It was something like a couple days. And he did perform overall pretty well aside from the stanky leg. And I think coming into this against Eric McConaughey, this seriously is just a layup. This is just a layup for Sirsaikayev. Like, granted, when he was on that week's notice and he fought someone where he was a minus 1,000 favorite, he almost got knocked out. So you can't count Eric McConaughey out fully, but Eric McConaughey just is not good. Like, Baisengor Sirsaikayev is going to be able to tear this guy's body apart. And McConaughey's not fast. Like, he's not fast. He's aging. Like, he's just like a stepping stone in the UFC for a lot of guys. And, I mean, I hope he can prove me wrong, but, like, he is well-rounded, I guess. But aside from that, like, Baisengor, I think it's just going to tear this dude's body to bits. I think he's going to rip his body to shreds through the first round. And then I think in the second round, I think he's just going to KO TKO him. I think he's going to land some really nice body shots, cripple him, just TKO him against the cage. Like, I don't really see McConaughey having any real threats against Sirsaikayev. Sirsaikayev does have that wrestling pedigree where he trains with Hamza. McConaughey is not getting him down for a submission. Sirsaikayev, the only way that he's getting taken out here is if McConaughey blitzes and Sirsaikayev's chin's just there to be hit. But as long as he's not showboating, I don't see it happening. And we also amplify it with Sirsaikayev having a full training camp for this fight. I see him getting my Performance of the Night award here, plain and simply. I think he's just going to be too much of a challenge, honestly. The reach overall, just his tools, his arsenal on the feet too, his ability to wrestle offensively and keep away from McConaughey's submission ability defensively with his wrestling. McConaughey just doesn't have the answers unless it's a lucky shot, which is just not happening. Moving up the card, we got Erin Blanchfield versus Tracy Cortez. Now, this is a fight that makes a lot of sense, to be fair. I mean, Erin Blanchfield, you know, since losing to Manon Fior, she's looked pretty decent. She beat Rose Namajunas. Tracy Cortez, I think she's overrated as fuck in just both departments, really, honestly. Just fighting to an extent and looks, I just don't rate her. But I think overall, when it comes to her boxing pedigree, she has been improving. I will give her that. She is more so the tighter striker. She's got cleaner boxing. She is very strong when it comes to the overall clinch and just dirty boxing. But Erin Blanchfield, she should be the favorite here, to be honest. She's much more well-rounded. Her striking is improving. She still is tentative. And if she can't get Tracy Cortez down, then Tracy can definitely win this fight. But I think the likelihood of Tracy Cortez being able to stuff all of Erin Blanchfield's shots, I just don't really see it happening through 15 whole minutes. And Erin, if she gets this to the ground, I am going to be very surprised if Tracy Cortez can get back up, especially if he gets her straight back on the mat. I really don't see that happening. And Erin, overall, she is just the more well-rounded MMA fighter here. She's shown that she's able to work through 5 rounds extremely effectively. I know MMA math doesn't always make sense, but what she was able to do in the comeback against Rose Namajunas from a pretty iffy start to then Tracy Cortez on the other side just getting pieced by Rose Namajunas very easily on the feet. And that's where if Erin's showing any form of improvements with her striking and then getting this to the ground, she's got the clear contrast with the grappling. And she honestly, if she does get it down early, I think she could possibly find a submission against Tracy. But I think Erin's going to really want to make sure that she's not allowing Tracy to get back to the feet. And I think she's going to choose that position over the submission. And that's where I think she's going to get the 29-28 decision. I think Tracy Cortez has a pretty strong round in there where she is using more of her upper body strength to make sure that Blanchfield is kind of stuck in the clinch. And then she's working more dirty boxing, just landing some cleaner shots. But aside from that, I think Erin will take the second and the third round on control and honestly look for a title shot after this. And moving on to the main card, thank the MMA lords that this has been made. Holy shit, dicks. I am so keen for this main card. You literally have to be clinically insane if you're not keen for this. This fight, first of all, Sean Brady versus Michael Morales, awesome fight. I mean, Sean Brady has looked fantastic recently. Well, literally, he's looked pretty much fantastic except for the Belal Muhammad fight. And it's really tough to see from that fight with Belal Muhammad, the improvements that he has made overall. It's really hard to find holes in Sean Brady's game, because he is very fluid when it comes to his striking, because he's got that confidence on the feet when it comes to just, it's like Usman. Like, he's got confidence in his boxing because his wrestling game is so dominant and so dangerous, but even more so with Sean Brady, which we saw against Leon Edwards, just the suffocation of his wrestling, his top control with his submission-based ability. His submission-based offense with how good his wrestling is, severely damn dangerous for a lot of guys in this division. Just the more so, aside from Islam Makhachev now coming into the division, the most offensively sound wrestler that we really have. And that's where it can be damn dangerous for Michael Morales coming into this. But Michael Morales is full of unknowns. He is so full of unknowns. We don't know how good his ground game is because no one has been able to take him there. Because he has literally been able to distance manage so effectively with that bloody perfect reach that he has. He's just got the perfect frame for welterweight. His ability to utilize those straight strikes so well against all these different fighters that he's fought, and now he's obviously got the addition of real damn power and long combinations on top of that. We saw what he did to Gilbert Burns. Absolutely fried the dude. And when we look at Morales against Neil Magny, this is where there could be a potential hole, and this is just very minute, is Neil Magny was able to hold Morales against the cage for a decent amount of time before Morales fucked him up. And that's where if you put Sean Brady in Neil Magny's position, you're going to see a lot more success from Sean Brady. A lot better when it comes to positional IQ, when it comes to grappling against the cage and just grappling in general and just getting those takedowns and chain wrestling. And that's where Morales, if you guys didn't know, Morales has a judo base. He is someone that does have some form of grappling there. He doesn't have offensive submission threats per se, but is he going to be that easy to get from the feet down to the mat? And if there's anyone that's going to be able to test it so effectively, it is Sean Brady. But the thing that Sean Brady needs to be seriously damn careful of, and why these odds do make sense, is Brady is susceptible to being tagged. And we know when it comes to pressure overall from just a bigger guy, a stronger guy, and a guy that has more fluidity with his striking, which I can't believe I'm saying this, Belal Muhammad, then he breaks down. He breaks down. He gets too flustered, and that's what we saw, and he got TKO'd by Belal Muhammad. And Michael Morales on that other side, if he's showing a Gilbert Burns-based performance, Sean Brady could be in some damn trouble here. But I really can't go for Michael Morales' grappling being able to eclipse or just be leveled with Sean Brady's wrestling caliber. I haven't seen it, and I can't go with it if I have not seen it. Now, that being said, Michael Morales could simply come out, stuff all of Sean Brady's takedowns, and just fuck him up on the feet. It could happen. It really could, but that's a very much more so of an unknown. And that's where Sean Brady, when it comes to the fighter that we have seen, his wrestling is extremely good, and I think he's going to be able to have that ability to get Michael Morales to the ground. And that's where I think Michael Morales in the first round, I think Brady's going to start a little bit on the feet first, kind of get used to the rhythm, making sure that he can get the timing on his takedowns effectively. But I think Morales is going to really start tagging him early. I think he's going to land some clean, direct shots on Brady. He's going to mark him up in that first round. And from there, I think that's where Brady's like, okay, I can read what's happening here. He's tagging me. I've kind of found my range now. I kind of understand what's going on. I understand the timing of his strikes and his movements and his ticks. I am going to shoot for takedowns now. And I think when it comes to the second and third round, I think that heavy base control game of Sean Brady is just going to be enough to get this one done. I think he's going to take rounds 2 and round 3 by a 29-28 overall. I think Michael Morales gets the first round on the impact of his shots while they're still on the feet. Very, very good fight. Very, very close fight. I think the odds are perfect here. I'm so keen for this one. I literally don't mind who wins. I love Michael Morales as this kind of young, undefeated, hot prospect, and I wouldn't mind him honestly just carving through and getting into that top 5. But yeah, it's going to be a tough battle for the both of them. Moving up the card, we've got Beneil Dariush versus Benoit Saint-Denis in the lightweight division. Now, this is a very interesting matchup because these guys are kind of revolved around in a lot of like similar matchups that they've had with each other. I mean, like you've got Renato Moicano especially. Dariush just beat Renato Moicano. Renato Moicano fucked up Benoit Saint-Denis in his home country. And Benoit Saint-Denis has just come back and he's just beaten Maurizio Hufi fantastically well, completely shut the hottest prospect in lightweight down. And he's got some momentum on his side now. Beneil Dariush obviously has beaten the guy that's beaten BSD. It's going to be an interesting matchup, and I will say firstly, the odds, I don't agree with them. I think that this is a bit more so disrespectful to Beneil Dariush. I think people, when it comes to these odds, and we see the way that Beneil Dariush has been taken out, he's been taken out by, you know, Charles Oliveira, Arman Tsarukyan, these guys that have a lot of power when it comes to their hands and just their technical capabilities with their hands. And Benoit Saint-Denis, if we look back at that Renato Moicano fight, his hands aren't great. Benoit Saint-Denis' hands are not good. I mean, you look when he went on his string of wins before he ran into bloody Dustin Poirier, he was pretty much winning a lot of that with his kicks, or he was pretty much submitting them all. But then when it comes to his actual striking, it's his kicking game. It's like when he knocked Matt Frivola's head off, and that's where Benoit Saint-Denis, I think if he's going to win this, I don't see him out-transitioning Beneil Dariush on the ground, honestly. I think Beneil's scrambling capabilities are elite. I don't see Benoit Saint-Denis out-transitioning Beneil unless he hurts Beneil. Now, Beneil doesn't have great movement. You know, he looks like he's 70 years old in the octagon when he's on the feet. He doesn't have great movement, but he's got some stiff damn power in his hands. We've seen that against Drakkar Klose. We've seen that against Renato Moicano as well, getting tagged up a fair bit. And that's where, honestly, if Benoit Saint-Denis is not able to out-transition Renato Moicano and get absolutely just destroyed by him, and Beneil Dariush being able to out-transition Renato Moicano, Beneil is going to be better than Benoit on the ground, plain and simply. And when it comes to the feet overall, the boxing's very close in terms of Benoit Saint-Denis is the faster guy, but Beneil Dariush has more power in his hands for sure. Like, he definitely has that stiff power. You know, when he took out Drakkar Klose like that, it was disgusting. And I think that power is, you know, the power is the last thing to leave. And that's where Benoit Saint-Denis, his best chance at winning this is keeping this fight at range. Really not allowing Beneil Dariush, to close the distance. And that's where I just don't see Benoit Saint-Denis being able to do that, because his fight IQ just isn't the best. He loves getting into firefights. He loves just getting up close, dirty, gritty, which makes for an entertaining fight. But against Beneil Dariush, who has the power advantage, and if it gets there on the ground, he has the advantage transitionally. That's where I think Beneil Dariush is being heavily overlooked in this matchup when it comes to the odds. And that's where I'm going to be taking Beneil Dariush. I think that Benoit Saint-Denis will find the success in the first round when it comes to his strike speed overall. He'll hurt Dariush, I think, probably drop him. But then Dariush, I think he's going to be able to come back. I think he's going to be able to get into those clinch-based exchanges. I think he's going to be able to scramble effectively and just out-transition, just out-chess Benoit Saint-Denis when it comes to the ground game. And I think he's just going to be able to do a better job of tagging Benoit Saint-Denis in that boxing range. But this is not a confident pick for me. I will definitely say that now. It's like, because Beneil Dariush is stiff as a fucking board half the time, and Benoit Saint-Denis could definitely crack through. But yeah, ultimately, I just don't think that Benoit Saint-Denis just has like the best overall tools on the feet to just completely get Dariush out of there unless it's a head kick. And I think Dariush is smart enough to be aware of that. But yeah, very, very tight fight. I think I will be surprised if one of these guys do get submitted, but honestly, I think that it's going to be a better fight than people are going to think. I just think stylistically, the way these guys just strike, it's just going to be a clusterfuck of ugliness. And I think coming down to it, I think Dariush is going to get the decision. I think if not, I think Benoit Saint-Denis is going to take him out secondly. But I'm going to take Dariush here, especially as almost a 3-1 dog. Now, moving up the card, we have Leon Edwards versus Carlos Prates. Take my money, sell my fucking kidneys. This is a perfect fight. I absolutely love this matchup. Brilliant matchmaking by the UFC. This is going to be humongous for both of them. If Leon Edwards loses this fight, honestly, his mentality, I don't know where the hell it goes. He already has like a pretty much like inherent negative attitude when it comes to his fighting. And we've seen that, especially against Sean Brady. He cracked. Like, he was not looking good in his corner. And Carlos Prates, I mean, the dude just stood on fucking business against Jeff Neal, coming off the Ian Gary loss, spinning elbow straight to the dome, just crunched his temple. Like, Carlos Prates is coming into this dead serious. He's wanted Leon Edwards for a while as well. And Leon Edwards, interestingly enough, the last time this dude fought any type of like just natural straight striker was like fucking Nate Diaz, and that's barely even stating like a straight striker, to be honest. Like, you could say Donald Cerrone, but aside from that, Leon Edwards, all the guys fought as fucking wrestlers. I mean, it's literally all he's gone against, and that creates a big skew in his striking style in terms of his kickboxing overall, which, as we know, is his base. And it's going to be very interesting stylistically in this matchup to see how he goes against a straight kickboxer, a Muay Thai fighter in Carlos Prates. Is Leon Edwards going to open up more? Is he going to shine more? Or is he going to be more so closed off? That's where it's really much more of an unknown, and that's where I really have to go off the literal tape we've seen of how Leon Edwards strikes against wrestlers. And that being said, when it comes to Carlos Prates, I'm not going to be surprised if this dude shoots a takedown himself in this matchup. I will not be surprised if he mixes it up there, especially if Leon is getting any form of momentum with his striking. But Leon's great, but I think stylistically this fight is not good for him. I really don't think so, for a number of reasons. And that's where Leon Edwards, when it comes to his striking overall, first of all, when it comes to the experience, he hasn't fought pure kickboxers in fucking ages. And when he fought Nate Diaz last time, he almost got his chin spun to fucking Mars. And when we look at his ability overall on the feet and when he's been in striking exchanges, he often keeps his hands very far away from his head. He doesn't have the best strike defense overall. He's just a guy that is very good at just making sure that he pressures effectively and does not allow the opponent to just let out flurries on flurries on flurries of strikes against him. He keeps the striking quite low output. He's quite a low output fighter overall. Accurate, definitely. The guy, Leon Edwards' probably best attribute is his strike accuracy, to be honest. Low output overall. He's more of just like a sniper as a kickboxer. And when we look at Prates on the other side, you can't be making mistakes against a guy like this if you're Leon Edwards when it comes to keeping your hands away from your face, having a looser guard, because we've seen him get tagged by Belal Muhammad, we've seen him get tagged by Kamaru Usman, especially in that second fight before he sent Kamaru Usman's head to the Shadow Realm. Leon Edwards gets tagged, and that's where, if he's getting tagged against Carlos Prates, there's no more Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards has died. That's it. Like, he will not be able to sustain the power that Carlos Prates literally puts on him. He's got inhumane fucking power in his hands, and that's not the only thing that Leon's going to have to worry about. And Carlos Prates does have the ability to, shoot on Leon, and I think Carlos Prates could potentially have the opportunity to take Leon down just out of surprise, but Leon Edwards does have good takedown defense, good wrist control, and good glove grabbing. But on the other side, if Carlos Prates is putting Leon Edwards in danger, Leon Edwards is not going to be able to take Carlos Prates down. I don't see that happening. Carlos Prates' takedown defense and his overall ability to reverse positions, which we saw against Ian Gary especially, Leon Edwards is not going to get an advantageous position against Carlos Prates on the ground. I don't see that happening. And I do think that this is going to be a pretty low output fight overall, especially when it comes to the start, because these guys are going to be really using a lot of feints early. They're going to be testing the rhythm of each other. They're both elite kickboxer / Muay Thai fighters. But when it comes to 15 minutes and when it comes to Carlos Prates' hunger in this fight, going against Leon Edwards, wanting Leon Edwards, and Leon just like, the guy needs a fucking win here. And that's where Leon could be hungry as well. But I don't think Leon Edwards' chin's going to be able to take what Carlos Prates is going to be able to give it. I just don't see it happening. I think Leon, especially when he gets into longer combination, he starts finding his rhythm, he's there to be tagged back. And if Carlos Prates is getting any type of forward pressure and momentum, Leon Edwards is going to get taken out. I'm very sure of that. I think Leon classically is going to need a head kick from hell. Like, I just don't see him putting out Prates with his hands unless he lands like this super clean uppercut or something like that, which he's got decent timing on his uppercuts. But Prates has got power fucking everywhere. Knees to the body. He's got uppercuts. He's got overhands. He's got spinning elbows. He's got the straight left to just absolutely annihilate you. And that's where, honestly, especially as Carlos Prates was a switch stance fighter, he doesn't have to fight in orthodox to then fight Leon Edwards when it comes to the lead hand fight. But even then, Carlos Prates' jab is so good, and he's got a 4-inch reach advantage here. That's where I think with the higher output, the more sting on his shots, the longer reach overall, I think Carlos Prates is just stylistically like just a good striker to go against Leon's style as a kickboxer. I just don't think Leon has the best strike defense overall, and I don't think he can actually impose his will effectively on the feet to take Carlos Prates out. And that's where I think Carlos Prates, I think he wins this by a late KO TKO finish. As you can see on the screen, I don't think Leon survives. I mean, if he does, credit to him, but I think these odds are correct. I think Carlos Prates is going to get around 2 or 3, and I think that he's just going to be able to take him out. Most likely, I think he's going to get a straight left down the pipe, and I think he follows up, knee to the body, and then I think he just gets a hook across the chin, bang, slumps him against the cage, and I think he actually KOs Leon Edwards. I think if he does that, if he KOs Leon Edwards, never been finished by a KO TKO before, yeah, I've got to give him my Finish of the Night award if he's doing this. And I think Prates, stylistically, the dude's got the ability to do it. Moving up the card, we have got the flyweight title fight. Valentina Shevchenko versus Zhang Weili. Zhang Weili moving up to flyweight finally to fight for the flyweight championship. Rightfully deserved. Zhang Weili is an absolute stud. She is awesome. Literally got to see her fight live at UFC 312. And man, the crowd was just nuts for Weili. Like, you can forget Drickus, you can forget Strickland. It was all on Weili. Everyone absolutely loved her. She gave us one of the best performances of that card easily. And she has got an extremely strong chance of winning this fight against Valentina Shevchenko. And when it comes to the odds, it's completely dead even. I think that makes complete sense, plain and simply, to be honest. And Weili, she is very well-rounded. She has got power in her hands. She has definitely got durability on her side. Yes, Rose Namajunas head kick aside. She's someone that's gritty. She's got submissions, and she's very strong. And when it comes to a lower center of gravity that she has, she can pose some pretty unique threats for Shevchenko, because Shevchenko isn't super big herself, especially when Shevchenko is fighting girls like Manon Fior who are bigger than her. And I think that's when Zhang Weili, she can really ride under the hips of Valentina. She could potentially get her down. But the fact that this is so even, and Valentina Shevchenko, even though I honestly think she lost against Manon Fior in her last fight, I know pitchforks and everything, but when we look at her performances recently, I just think she does have that striking capability still, and just that rhythm and the strength. Just the overall strength and that ability to control on the ground, like she did against Alexa Grasso at the Sphere. I think she has got the ability to nullify Weili's best parts of her game. I think it's close, but I think overall, when it's this close, you have to pin it down to the girl that is naturally bigger. Like, Weili going against a girl who has literally tools absolutely everywhere, is a better overall striker as well. Valentina Shevchenko is more credited with her Muay Thai. She has really nice elbows, good body kicks. Like, she's someone that Weili hasn't fought in terms of a pedigree of striker, aside from Joanna Jędrzejczyk, which Joanna, in that time period, she wasn't that fast, like super slick striker. She was great, super durable, but she was going blow for blow with Weili. Like, she wasn't circling out effectively, she wasn't resetting, and that's where they went into that absolute war, which saved that card. But you're not going to be seeing that with Valentina Shevchenko. She's not going to be getting into these massive brawls. She's not going to be staying in that pocket and just trading with Weili. She's going to reset effectively. Her fight IQ on the feet is overall better than Weili's, I do believe. And Weili has been tagged. I mean, Yan Xiaonan hurt her a couple of times. And I mean, Valentina Shevchenko, a former 135-pounder coming into this, especially, like, Weili is just going to be too small, I think. Like, especially even her coming up to flyweight, she's going to have a bit more muscle density on her, and she can get some decent takedowns in there, but I just don't think it's going to be enough to just beat Shevchenko. I just don't think she has the overall tools when it comes to Shevchenko's game in her natural weight class. I think Shevchenko is going to be able to match the speed of Weili for starters. She's going to be able to match the overall strength as well. And I think Shevchenko, when it comes to the ground game effectively, I think Shevchenko has a stronger ability of using get-ups. And if she gets back to the feet, I think she's just going to have that edge on the feet when it comes to her overall Muay Thai game. I think the kicks in this fight, especially the body kicks, are going to be absolutely crucial for Valentina Shevchenko in this fight. And that's where I've got to give Shevchenko the decision. I'm going to give her a 48-47 decision. I think Shevchenko, she starts rough. I think Weili really gets that heavy takedown offensive threat in early. I think she gets it in the first 2 rounds, but then I think Weili, she does start slowing down a bit more so, especially moving up to a heavier weight class where she's got more muscle density. And that's where I think Shevchenko, she just starts to pick her apart, especially amplifying that, just chopping away at her body, chopping away at Weili's legs, having more impact on her shots. I think that's where Valentina Shevchenko, and she understands that she'll lose those first 2 rounds, and that's where I think she'll win round 3, 4, and 5. And I think she will retain her title and get a 9th title defense, arguably the GOAT of women's MMA. Now, moving up the card, we have the main event, Jack Della Maddalena versus Islam Makhachev. An absolutely insane fight. This is the fight of the year. This is literally the most anticipated fight that we can get. Now we need to break it down. JDM, 18 wins, 18 fight win streak. Islam Makhachev is on a 15-fight win streak in the UFC, and that just means, honestly, even records aside, ridiculous stakes here. Islam Makhachev has left the lightweight division aside now. He's left it in the dust. He said that there was no more opponents for him to fight. I mean, Arman Tsarukyan and Ilia Topuria would say otherwise, but I think when it comes to Islam's age, I think that this is the best move for him. I think it's now or never for him to become a double champion. He says that he wants to retire as a double champion and he won't retire until he does so. Not going to be easy. And I think, firstly, these odds are a little bit blown out of proportion. Jack Della Maddalena obviously is on his first title defense, and he has looked good against wrestlers. I mean, we saw him against Belal Muhammad, used a very, very good takedown defensive plan, utilized his head as a post to stop those takedowns, and really just had his center of gravity behind him where Belal just couldn't catch his hips. So that was fantastic, but that has also been studied like crazy by Islam Makhachev, and the difference between Belal Muhammad and Islam Makhachev, which I haven't really seen a lot of people talk about, which is crucial in this fight, is that a lot of people say that Islam Makhachev and Belal Muhammad are just completely similar because of their takedown offensive threat and how they wrestle. Completely not the same, because Islam Makhachev has a judo base within that sambo as well that he uses to get his opposition to the ground. He has all these different trips and everything. And he's very, very good at lacing the legs, you know, classic Dagestani style. Whereas you see Belal Muhammad uses more like high crotches, uses more like single leg based takedowns instead of, you know, trips and sweeps and everything like that. And Islam Makhachev can literally use all of Belal's strengths just as good, if not better than Belal, and then use all his own tools. And that's where that takedown arsenal overall, I think, is the biggest point as to why Islam Makhachev is such a favorite here. And Islam Makhachev obviously has more high-level experience than Jack Della Maddalena, as is honestly a certified pound-for-pound number one. But can he firstly have a healthy weight translation to welterweight? And can his size really compare to Jack Della Maddalena's size? Well, Jack Della Maddalena is not a ginormous welterweight, and Islam does have the advantage in the grappling overall, and he has that plethora of abilities and tools to get the fight to the ground. And these guys, when it comes to the size difference overall, they pretty much are the same height, and there's 1.5 inches more in reach. Now, when it comes to that, that's where, well, 2.5 inches, sorry. That's where Alexander Volkanovski had a pretty much just like 1 inch in between them. And that's where Islam was able to compete fairly well when it came to that reach difference. And Volkanovski, when it comes to his footwork and his timing, it's extremely important to look at, because Volkanovski is in Jack Della Maddalena's corner. Obviously, he's going to be helping him with everything for this fight. But Islam Makhachev, the way that he was able to deal with Alexander Volkanovski on the feet, timing him with his counters to then hurt Volkanovski in that first fight, and obviously we saw what happened in the second fight. I don't want to fucking talk about it. But looking at Jack Della Maddalena, he's a whole nother kettle of fish when it comes to the being on the feet, when it comes to his striking, being a heavier weight and having that boxing. He is arguably the best boxer in the UFC. And that's where JDM, he has triple the output over Islam Makhachev, an insanely high output at almost 7 significant strikes landed per minute. But the stats don't all really make up for it, because Islam Makhachev has a low output because he just wrestle fucks the shit out of everyone and swallows them and submits them. But if this stays on the feet, one of, if not the best boxer in the UFC, is going to cause some problems for Islam Makhachev. He's got beautiful long combinations. He mixes all his tools very well, especially his bloody hooks. His hooks, upstairs, downstairs, also his straight strikes, just seamless. And he's got, it's just the body shots, man. His body shots are absolutely disgusting, going through 3 to 4 piece combinations. And that's where Islam Makhachev, if he's a boxing range, he is not going to be able to outwork JDM completely. But Islam Makhachev, we saw him outbox Dustin Poirier pretty damn well, aside from getting half his forehead cut open. He outstruck Dustin Poirier, and when it comes to that, Islam Makhachev can heavily compete on the feet, especially at kickboxing range, and when it comes to Muay Thai-based tools. We know Islam's got the head kicks, he's got fantastic knees in the clinch as well, he's good at all ranges. The guy doesn't have many holes, that's why he's 27-1. And ultimately, if we look at that on the feet, they're very close. But when we look at them on the ground, yes, JDM has good reversals and he's good at scrambling to an extent. But Islam Makhachev, I think overall, the dude just has the plethora of tools to get this fight to the ground. And if he does get it to the ground, it's not Gilbert Burns on JDM. It's not Belal Muhammad on JDM. It is Islam Makhachev on JDM. This guy has the tools, the transitional capabilities to deal with the scrambling options of Jack Della Maddalena here. I do strongly believe. I've gone against Jack Della Maddalena every fucking time I have watched him fight, and I get it wrong every damn time, and he cost me $6,000 in a bet once. And I'm probably going to regret it here, and JDM's going to buddy ping him in the first round and just take Islam out. That's probably what's going to happen here. But if I'm being realistic and we're going by the odds, which I still think are way too heavy in Islam's favor, I think it could be around, like, to be honest, like maybe $1.50, $1.60 to JDM being like around that $2 mark, around $2.20. But that being said, still, I still think even though that Jack Della Maddalena is the more impactful boxer overall, I honestly think that Islam Makhachev just has the complete tools here, because on the flip side, JDM hasn't fought a guy that is that well versed when it comes to the striking in Islam Makhachev either, which I think a lot of people forget. Islam's boxing looked phenomenal against Dustin Poirier. He has a ridiculous submission base. He's a guy that just doesn't lack any tools, really. I mean, Jack Della Maddalena just needs to string tight combination against Islam in boxing range. That is the way that he wins. He needs to be able to stuff the takedowns. I think he can stuff traditional takedowns, but I think when it comes to that judo base of Islam that he implements, I don't think JDM's going to be able to stuff everything. And if he can't, I just don't see him being able to scramble as well as Volkanovski could in this fight. And I think Islam, I won't be surprised, honestly, if Islam, depending on how easily he gets him down in the first round, I could see a submission from Islam in the first or second round. But honestly, I've just got such an inclination that this fight is going to be so similar to the UFC 284 fight between Islam Makhachev versus Alexander Volkanovski. And firstly, if it is, take my money, take all my bloody organs, and sell them on the black market, because I will literally trade all of that if we get another one of those fights at UFC 280 from UFC 284 to this card. But also, with that statement, I've got to give this fight of the night. And when it comes to fight of the night, man, I think it's going to be close. And I think it's going to be so competitive on both sides, to the point I'm going to go Islam Makhachev by a decision. Now, JDM, if he's landing any form of successful shots in strings of combinations early, I can see JDM knocking Islam Makhachev out. Islam Makhachev is not as durable as Belal Muhammad. You got to give Belal that. That guy has some fucking heart. Like, he has got a damn dome on him, and he's got a damn chin on him. But Islam Makhachev can't eat those same kind of shots. But on the flip side, Islam Makhachev has more tools offensively when it comes to the grappling and wrestling arsenal, and is a better striker than Belal Muhammad anyway. It's not the same fight. It's really not. And that's where I think it's going to be a 48-47 to Islam Makhachev. I think it's going to be very much similar to that Alexander Volkanovski fight at UFC 284. I just think that Islam Makhachev can compete with JDM enough when it comes to their tools on the feet. I think the volume's going to be very close, but I think Islam is just going to be able to edge it more so on control. And when it comes to the rounds, between these two, I think JDM has a very good second round, and I think he has a very, very good fifth round. I think that's where Islam starts to slow down, especially with the added weight. JDM doesn't slow down. The guy is in damn shape. But we saw him being in damn shape from a guy that never went to the ground in a 5-round fight against Belal. Now, granted, their volume was just absolutely hectic. Super big credit, but it's a whole bigger difference when he's trying to get this wet blanket that is Islam Makhachev off of him and trying to use all his explosivity to try get back to the feet. But is he going to be able to do that and fight so effectively on the feet through 5 rounds? I don't think that's going to be able to happen. I think his boxing is going to wane over time if Islam is finding success with the ground game. And that's where I think Islam is going to win rounds 1, 3, and 4. I think it's just going to be more so on control, just wrestling dominant. He's going to use his judo very effectively here. I don't think he's going to be able to get JDM down completely, but I think Islam, if he's not submitting JDM, the gas tank is something to worry about, because if Islam starts to slow down literally by the 3rd round, I think JDM's going to ping him out. I think he's just going to absolutely take him out. But yeah, there's a lot of variables in this fight, guys. Seriously, an absolute heap of them. Firstly, yes, I think Islam will win this fight 48-47, or he will win by an early submission. But do not be surprised if JDM, firstly, if Islam slows down, or miraculously, if Islam can't get a takedown, JDM will beat him. I think JDM will actually knock him out. I think he'll knock him out around the mid-rounds. But you can't count JDM out overall, especially when it comes to those odds. I still think those odds are ridiculous, but I think Islam Makhachev is going to be becoming a 2-time champ here. The guy's got too much plot armor. He's too good. He's got pretty much no holes in his game. And he is going to be taking the win and the welterweight title at UFC 322. Now, I hope you guys love this predictions and breakdown video, and I hope you enjoy this absolutely filthy card that is UFC 322. And if you haven't already, definitely just check out the video here on the screen for more MMA-based content. And please like, comment, subscribe. It goes a long way for the channel. I really appreciate all the support you guys have given me across the last year and a bit while the channel's been active. And I'll hope to catch you in the next one.